Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to go through my best bets for the Thursday night and Friday night games for round two of the NRL. So firstly, on Friday night, the Broncos at home take on the Rabbitohs. Both these sides coming back after playing over in Las Vegas to kick off the season. My bet for this game, I'm going with the over 41.5 points. That's at Bet365 at $1.91. The reason I'm going with this bet in this game, if we look at the history between these two sides, for the most part, they have been matches that have been decided by big margins. Towards the end of last year, Broncos won 36-20. Earlier last season, 32-6 to the Rabbitohs, then 32-12 to the Broncos back in 2022. So the only real low scoring game was in round one in 2022. That was at Suncorp Stadium. And four of the past six have gone under the total. But first thing you'll notice is last time they met, it was set at 44.5. It's come down to 41.5 for this game. And previous to that, we had high totals, 44.5, 52.5. So like the fact that the line has moved down, even though there was 56 points scored in their last matchup. Then when we look at the two sides, so both these teams played in Vegas last week, and the Broncos game only totaled 30 points, and Broncos made 15 errors. I think they're going to complete their sets better this week and not make so many errors, which should give them more attacking opportunities. And then also the Rabbitohs conceded a lot of points, 36 against the Seagulls. So they were really leaking points last week. And I think these two sides coming back from Vegas, I don't think they're going to be as strong defensively, playing at Suncorp in fine conditions, fast field, and bigger spaces than last week, because those games last week were played on a smaller field, which I spoke about. That's going to lend this game to being higher scoring. So, and also the fact it could be a blowout, I would be leaning towards the Broncos to be winning. Then I think points can be scored a lot quicker than close matchups. Like you'll notice games where it's, a team leading by 4 or 6 points, or, the scores are locked together. Those games tend to be much lower scoring than games that end up in blowouts, because teams like defense becomes a lot lazier. So over 41.5 at $1.91. Then on Friday night, the early game, the Sharks take on Bulldogs. The Sharks have a really good record against the Bulldogs, winning 11 of the past 13. This line's already creeped up a little bit from the 8.5 to 10.5 at most places, but I'm going to take the minus 9.5. I spoke about this in the betting trends. I'm really surprised this line still is in single digits. Last time they met, the Sharks were 17.5 point favorite. Prior to that, they're a 14.5 point favorite. Prior to that, they're a 22.5 point favorite. So this line has come down very significantly. The Bulldogs haven't really done anything to, show why that should be the case. Sharks were very good last week against the Warriors. They kept the Warriors scoreless after, I think, 12 minutes into the game. And the Warriors are a fairly good attacking side, and definitely much better than the Bulldogs, which you can see are ranked 16th to 17th in a lot of attacking categories. And they're also ranked very low in defensive numbers as well. So, obviously it's been spoken about, there is upside with the Bulldogs this year, next year, but until they start to do it, they're very hard to back. And the Sharks should be able to, at home, put up plenty of points against them and win this game very comfortably. For the most part, I don't love taking, big spreads for the Sharks, because they're not a team that win a lot of games by big points. But over the past 12 months, that's kind of turned around a bit. But prior to that, they definitely weren't. And so I think they can win this game by 10 points or more. And then the final game on Friday night, the Panthers at home to the Parramatta Eels. Panthers were shut out by the Storm last week. Eels were a nice winner in their opening season game. The line for this game, I feel like with the line currently Penrith minus 7.5, I feel like there's been a bit of an overreaction for that number. Last time they met was in round 26 last season, and Parramatta were an 18.5 point favorite. Now, Parramatta won that game, and they have won the past two against Penrith, one of the only sides that have a really good record against them. But when you could have got 18.5 for their last matchup, and now you're being asked to take plus 7.5, for the Eels. I feel like there is a big jump there. So just staying away from that. Obviously, Penrith, the better team on paper, but I think they're having a bit of a slow start to the season, as we kind of spoke about in the season preview. The other angle is with the total. It's 36.5, but it's 35.5 at some places, I have noticed. I feel like even though 15 of the past 19 between these two sides have gone under, this game, I would be leaning towards the over. If we could get 35.5, but not an official place. My only official plays are the Broncos, Rabbitohs over 41.5 and the Sharks -9.5. Just going to let this game go and just kind of see where the Panthers are kind of at, and also how the Eels match up against the Panthers, but slightly in towards Parramatta keeping this game somewhat close and slightly in towards the overs, but don't want to get involved from a betting perspective. And at the end of the day, that is the advantage we have as the bettor and not being the betting company, is we get to pick and choose which games we bet into and which bets we make on that game. We don't need to, just because there's a game being played, we don't need to force a bet into that game just because, just because we're going to be watching that game, or because we've looked at that game, we checked the stats, we checked the teams, and all that kind of stuff. We don't need to now, dig and dig and dig until we find something worthwhile betting on. So that's kind of how I'm approaching it, especially early on in the season, with these teams only have played one game so far. Those kind of situations where you're able to research more happen after the 4, 6, 8, 10 weeks into the season. And I'll quickly mention, because I forgot to mention at the start, the statistics you're looking at here with these sides is based on 2023 data until every team's played 4 games. Then I'll replace it with the 2024 data, because I don't want to make decisions based off a small amount of data. So we use the 2023 information and then cross-reference it with how teams have been performing in the first, 1 to 3 weeks of the year. If you like videos like this and you want to see my bets on the NRL throughout the rest of the season, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you never miss a video.